High School. First, I would say is the one who teaches in Alliance High School is teaching without.
There's not any single student that pay fee in less than 100,000.
To your question, is it possible for a shift of teachers from down, from up?
Leakage or got access to this material. You see, those cases we hear after.
Welcome to the Bluntly Candid podcast. My name is Jack Hayemba. I feel being privileged to be on this platform. Today, we want to talk about the trending issues that affect us socially, economically, and politically. We are going to talk about issues affecting us within our country locally and externally, how they affect us, how we relate with different states. So today, I'm having my colleague here known as Lugalia. Then we have Ryan. Then on my right, I have a lady known as Laura. Right. Okay, now we straight to the point. We want to talk about these issues, and probably I hope that we'll have to keep on time so that we can save on time. Okay, now today we want to talk about different issues. Look at our country, look at our state. The trending issues that we have, the lecturer strike. The government has been able to issue 4.3 billion, but we are having the lecturers still on strike. There's that conflict between the UASU and the government. If it is a sure bet that we are going to have the funds being released, why should we have this take at time wastage in that we are having students having their time wastage? If the government is going to release these funds, be it January, be it December, be it November, why are we having that duration of wastage of time, and how are we going to counter this as a country? Because students need to graduate and we're having some time wastage. How are we going to counter this as a nation? Because if surely the government has funds, it needs to disburse it, because all projects are running and are being we have some that program within the government that you need to, if it is the bill that it is funding the government, the lecturers for their bills, then let them be funded. If it is an agreement that they had to have some additional amount of money to be given, let them given. So this problem, how is the government going to tackle it? Because we are having time wastage within the students and they are loitering, and it will end up having students starting to engage in criminal activities, which won't assist us as a nation. So we colleagues, we need to assess and ask ourselves, how is the government going to tackle such kind of a situation? I think Lugala, you can try to assist us on this.
Thank you, Mr. Kaima, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, from the look of things, we have seen a lot of random activities taking place in the country. I think the government has failed, as I normally say in this show. I really condemn our government for the way of operation, because, see, education is one of the basic factors of the people of Kenya. And the reason why I'm saying the government has failed is part, we see many things, education has not been considered as an essential. Recently, we heard of the CBOs and the MOUs that has been signed by the government and the UASU, which is the lecturers organization. And I can say we are just reading on paper. The MOU has been passed the other day. In the initial strike, it was called off by the leaders of OASU, and we thought the CBO agreement is going to be attained by the government and the entire system. But you see, still we have a problem on the lecturers. Currently, as we're speaking now, it's almost now going to the fourth week. And we see the lecturers have not reported to class, they have not reported to school. And we have pending things in the university. People need to graduate. Some graduation now is being held at bay, because now you see the lecturers are not there in the institution to give the way forward and the conduct the running of the school. And you see, it's also even affecting the parents. You see, the parents have sent their students in school. Now, this is almost a month. You know, when you take your student to school, there's a lot of expenditure. There's food needed. There's rent needed. There's a lot of upkeep for this student. And you see, as the part of the student body, they've taken their part in paying fee, in doing some other things, despite the other demonstration we also faced that affected the student, the demonstration of the student. Now you see, this is another problem that is to be handled. But you see, this education committee at the National Assembly.
Yeah.
And we also have the Ministry of Education, which is being run by Honorable Moguso. And we can say these people have really failed, and we don't see the solution to this thing.
Now, Lugalia, you've just talked about the parents paying school fees and all that. Do you see we have a problem? Because when you look at the program, let's say for the education, is running at a cost of 80,000.
Yes.
For medicine, is running at around 240,000 and above.
Yeah, true.
And students are paying this money despite the help from which is being assisted from the government. The parents have chipped in to pay the money. So if the parents are paying this money, are we having that conflict of interest in that the government is unable to pay the lecturers?
I think there's a problem with the management and administration of this government at large. The reason why I can say this, you see, we have the education committee, which should address the issue. It's not that these MPs and the member of parliament and the committee does not know about the ongoing strike. Even the president himself knows about the strike. But you see, the government is focused more on irrelevant issue compared to the relevant issue that concerns the people of Kenya. The reason why I'm saying this, now you see, students and the comrades at large, they are paying a very huge sum of money. And you can see this money just appreciated recently for the financial year 2022-2023. This fee structure changed drastically. But our question now, you see, as the political analysts, we're asking ourselves, after the comrades and the parents fraternity raising this money, how is it hard for the government to stipulate a drastic plan so that this money can be used to sort the money needed by the lecturers who are teaching these students, who are lecturing these students? Now, this is why I'm saying this government has failed drastically. Starting from the presidency to the National Assembly to the committees of education, all the way to the county level, the government has failed. And that's why I'm saying, if there is no robust plan for the government to approach this issue as soon as now, we will face the same problem which has been faced by an institution like Moi University and some other institution. There's a university like Moi. It has had a very big problem whereby it has affected the academic calendar of the students because the issue had not been approached earlier. And they can see now, because of this case and the government in place, this thing is going to revolve around to affect Moi University to be a victim of Moi.
Then a question on board.
Yes.
Do you think these funds that are being issued by parents in terms of fees for the different students, is this money going to the different universities at the university level, or it's going to the national government? And okay, just wait a minute. And if it's going to the national government, how are these conflicts coming up? Because if the government has the funds, it should be able to give the lecturers their money. And if it's at the institutional level, then the lecturers need to chip in and say, okay, were they less in funds in that now they need the government to chip in to pay them?
I can give you an example, a very clear example. See, like one of university in Nyanza, like Maseno University. Maseno University has more than 30,000 students, and there's not any single student that pay fee in less than 100,000 a year. That's an approximation, and you can come to find out there's a lot of collection of this money. There's no any student who graduates from the institution without clearance of the fee, whether it's an aid, whether it's a bursary, or whether it's which source of money.
Yeah.
But you'll come to find out from our knowledge that we know that this money goes back to the government. But now the question comes here, where is the money being used? Because this money needs to be used back to the institution. You see, now the government has become the tax collector, whereby it collects this money, but now it does not return it back to the body of the student. By returning it back now, I mean to the management of the institution, paying the lecturers dues and salaries, paying the staff of the university, and also the running of the institution. Because from the look of things, you can go back to the same institution, they lack some facility for studies. They lack some infrastructure for studies. They lack some playground. Like there's no good environment for the institution. The other school, the other day was demonstrating about the housing. The other school was demonstrating about the water and maybe some environment of the school. Because when you see the amount of students, the number of students in the institution, and the collection of the fee they are giving to the institution for them to receive the lectures from the school is evenly unproportional.
Okay, now Logalia, thank you so very much. But now the question is not all about infrastructure, because as we look at different organizations and institutions, we never had a question of about accountability on infrastructure. You will see that all over across the country, different universities have grown. In terms of infrastructure, they're well off, they're good off. But now the problem that is coming is all about salary. You're talking about salary.
Exactly.
The lecturers are not in class because of salary.
Yeah, and that's why I was telling you about the whole management setup of the university. After this, the comrade pay the school fees, they're not getting back from the institution what is expected of them. And it's really affecting, like you can see what is happening today. There's no learning taking place because of that is the management of the university, whereby that money is being misused elsewhere, the other government project, rather than helping the institution in paying off the salary for this lecturer so that education can continue. Yes.
All right, then that question goes to the government of Kenya. I know His Excellency is listening to this, and we know that you need to be accountable of it, because the lecturers are going on, the strike is going on in some private organizations. The students are learning, but now look at the public universities. The students are crying. So His Excellency, we cry as students that you chip in and do something so that we can have some transparency and accountability in terms of those funds. We pray that within the shortest time period, the government is going to chip in and we won't have to listen to such kind of cries. Okay, thank you very much. Now that aside, we'll go to the second thing affecting our country. Now that is about the KCSE scammers and leakages. This both at the primary level and the secondary institutions. At the KCP level, have we had those cases of leakages and scammers at the KCP level? Because we as a country are focusing on the KCSE actually. Have we had cases of cheating within the KCP students?
Actually, this year we've not had the KCP. It has not been there because in the academic calendar, I'm told the previous year's KCP was the last. Now the CBC has come up with the change of
All right, CBC.
And I think the new system which is in place, like we call the CBC, this CBC exam, it was done with we've not had the cases of fraud because I think there's a bit of new, when something new comes to the market, people are eager to know how it takes place. And I think the eagerness of knowing how this thing should be done made more people not running ahead to do some cheating and some linkages and some sneaking of shitty behavior on the exam. And you can see now for the KCSE, and again I can tell you, the government has failed because many times, like there's a new CS who has been telling us they're going to put measures in place so that it curbs cheating in the exam. But you see, as Kenya, the trend continues. There's some high school teachers in certain places in Siaya County, in a particular high school, arrested the other day because of cheating and exam malpractices that has been leaked in that school. But the government is really assuring us in, out, and in the how measures have been put in place to ensure transparency in the exam process. But still, the reason why we say we are not yet there to give out what is supposed to be presented out there is maybe I can say the incompetency of the system in place. Because we were told different measures in place to curb this cheating for this sessions exam. Like there's a new printing of the admission or registration number on the paper. So people assumed that this part of the measures to curb the cheating. But you see, the other day you had there was a breakdown, rather the closure of the Telegram because of cheating. But you see, again, when you say there's a closure of Telegram because of cheating, it's only for the subscriber of a particular network. Because when you use another network, you can still access the same Telegram. It's not enough to convince the parent or rather the community concerning the curbing of the cheating in the exam. You get the point. Now, the government, again, is not doing enough to satisfy the people of this country about the curbing and the prevention of the cheating of the exam.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Now you talked about the less cheating in the CBC system. Do you think the government should change the system, the secondary system, so that we can have that reduction in competition, the individual competition? Someone feels like, for me to suit in that society that I'm a genius and I'm a academic stable, I need to cheat. So how can the government do on that? Do we need to have to change the system?
I think not really changing the system. I think we need to perfect the system in place in a manner that will reduce the shortcuts to success. You see, the means of cheating does not really apply to the few individuals. Even the people within the government, all the same, they do cheating. They do cheating because they need maybe to put their school on the limelight. The name of the school, for instance, these big schools, I don't need to mention the name because it will bring conflict of interests. These schools sometimes you find them propelling on top, but they don't strain how the way the other school in the extra county levels or county level do struggle to get a name or maybe a mark or to appear on top. But you can see they are guaranteed maybe to get several A's. But after now the exam has been accomplished, you'll come to find out later or sooner that this school had some straight leakage or got access to this material. You see, those cases we hear after the process of the examination because they are guaranteed they're going to get these things. You see,
Okay, let's move on to the right. Now, okay, for you, Laura, now look at the country. We are having some given schools. It is being said that the national schools are able to give the exams some 3 months prior to the exams, to give the exam papers. So, do you think it's all about the how about the famous how the school is very famous and how it's very close to the state, how it's very close to the Minister of Education, that now we are having the leakages? So how can we counter such kind of a problem in that we can have that equity in terms of results? We need to expect that a school from a local village should be able to produce more A's. We don't want to listen about having the Miranda High School, having the big schools producing A's. So how are we going to curb that kind of situation? And don't tell me that it's all about the quality of teaching, about the national school having good teachers, having good environment. No, we are being given the same platform of same syllabus, same education, the number of teachers, the same content. So how are we going to curb that so that within the country we have good results and equity within the country?
So thank you for the opportunity. And before I answer your question, allow me say something in regards to the the lecturers' strike. Apologies. So I am of the opinion that the lecturers are being greedy because you said that they have been given so far 4.3 billion. So we as students are suffering. We're supposed to be in class studying, but lecturers are on the street striking because they want more. why can't they be satisfied, or rather, why can't they be use whatever the 4.3 billion they have been given as they wait for, the remainder, because the government still has other projects that it needs to handle, and not necessarily lecturers. So yeah, lecturers are being greedy. Back to your question, you said you asked why there's the disparity in terms of results between those notorious schools, or rather the schools that are known to perform well, and the village schools.
Yeah.
First, I would say, in as much as you said I shouldn't talk about teaching, I would say it all comes down to the quality of teaching, because you cannot compare how a teacher from that school. Let me use an example of a school from our village called Bugina. You cannot compare a teacher who teaches Bugina Primary to a teacher who teaches in Alliance High School. First, I would say is the one who teaches in Alliance High School is teaching with that with the knowledge being, with the idea being, I'm teaching Alliance High School and I need to give them quality education so that they perform. But a teacher teaching that public or rather that local high school,
Yeah.
they really don't have that much pressure. Some of them don't even attend classes. I mean, and I'm speaking from someone who was in a public primary school.
Okay. But I'm trying to get a solution to it. We want that equity within the country. Don't tell me about the teachers in a given school being more better than the other ones. If we can have a policy of shifting teachers, we have a teacher from Nairobi school shifting to a local school. Can that work within the country?
Okay.
Okay, Ryan.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think that question has been burning in my head, so it's time to spill the beans. Coming to the issue of education, I think we are making milestones. Let's not forget that we are making milestones as a country. Yes, the government might be failing, but at some point, efforts have been put in place. To your question, is it possible for a shift of teachers from down, from bottom up? So my answer is clearly, it can never be possible. In this manner, I have been in those schools that you have been mentioning. I was once in Bush, that is Alliance, for a benchmark. And this is what teaches the students. A teacher comes in class, he tells the students, go and tackle, for example, a topic on your own. Discuss. There's a library. You have phones in school. You have laptops in schools. Discuss, do all the research of the manner, and then I set the card on this specific date. And you see students, they become vigilant in doing the researches, so that not to fail the assessment, and also to prove that they are in high school and not the local school. Coming to the local schools, yes, the teachers have gone the same experience in teaching colleges, but look at the teaching model. Alliance do have like the sleep at 11 because breaks begins at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. From 9 they go at break 9:30. Then 9:30 the candidates they go for a compulsory test up to 10:30. You see, coming back to extra county and county schools, that is something that rarely happens. Reality speaks, no. So you see, in terms of allocating time for studies, there's that huge difference between those big schools and the small schools, so to speak. So there's no way we can shift as teachers from up to come to the local.
It's okay, Ryan. So I think the country need to get back to the former Minister of Education, that's Matiang'i, because you get that year the students complained very much in terms of the country's performance.
Sorry to cut you short. Or should we move away from grouping, for lack of a better word, grouping schools like national, sub county or county, or probably because when you label a school as a district school, you've already set it up for failure. And when you label a school as a national school, you've already set it up. You've put the bar high for them. So if we move away from that, I believe it will encourage more of inclusivity in terms of the results.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, do you support the Kaimenyi system? Or you see, because Kaimenyi even banned even the ranking of schools,
Yeah,
like the national and the you see county. Is that the system we're trying to?
Yeah, that's the exact thing I'm trying to say. It helps a lot because you're not setting up one school for success and then the other you're already setting it up for failure. So it helps in a way.
Okay, if coming to Kemenyi's policy, what of Amina Mohammed's policy of banning the boarding schools to become day schools? I do think we are really upgrading the education system in terms of policy formulation, or at times, if those policies were being implemented, we'll be actually making 10 steps backwards instead of making a step forward.
I think the Amina system was trying to bring equity in the education sector, so that the boy in county school can be the same as this one in Starehe School or Alliance School. But you see, again here, as we said, the facilities in Alliance School is different compared to the facility in county schools. So I think the ideology behind the Amina system and the Kaimenyi system is trying to base on the equity among the country.
All right, now let's move on to the political issues affecting our country. So we have a question that is really facing us. Kind of look at the civil servants. The civil servants are requesting that they be excluded or exempted from SHE and SHA so that they can stick to the private health insurance. Do you think this is the best way to go as a country for the civil servants?
I don't think it's the best way to do as a nation, because health cover is our constitutional right.
Yeah.
As a people, anywhere in any part of the country, even the hegemon of America and that local, the smallest country as we, Kenya. Health insurance is part of our rights. But you see, due to the political system that we have in place, I can see the health sector has been corrupted, actually, because of the few individuals who are of their own personal benefit. I can say the other system. The other day we see the shift of the insurance, of the national insurance, because we've been knowing constitutionally about the NHIF, National Health Insurance Fund, which has been there ever since, and we can see even the benefit under the National Health Insurance Fund were enough, and it was good compared to what is in place today, because you see the demands and the regulation policy behind this sham and SHIF is not friendly to the people. Actually, to the people, the noise you hear about the civil servant about quitting or not.
Lugali,
Yes.
you're talking about the policy being not friendly. Look at the policy; it has just been introduced, and we are in less than 3 months. It has not started working
I can tell you
very well. So how can you come to a conclusion that this policy is not the best?
no, this thing has been there, has been corrupted since I can say now one plus years down the line, and you see it has been tested, and it has been tested with the people who are on the payroll. You see the huge lump sum of tax that is being implied currently. If you can look for someone who is a civil servant payslip today as we speak, there's a lot of taxation. To an extent, this shift thing is really a headache, and you can see the benefit behind it compared to the original NHIF. It's not beneficial. The reason why I'm saying it's not beneficial is you can find some breakdown that has been put under it that is unnecessary. Like there's an outpatient, there's an inpatient.
Oh, okay, now just wait a minute.
Yes.
I have a question. Look at the state of the country when we were using the NHIF. Look at the death rate within the country. You are claiming that this policy is not the best for the nation. But now my question is that look at it at this level. The SHE and SHA, we are having some citizens, the common mwananchi, that are not able to cater for their bills at the hospital. The guy is suffering from cancer. We have some issues within the dentistry, which is very expensive, over 200,000. But now we want to have some equity within the country, in that when we having a 63-year-old lady who has already retired and is at the village can be able to go to the hospital and be catered for medication. Do you think this policy is working for such kind of population?
And the reason why you see there's a move for the civil servant to reject the policy is because you tend to find out like they're being chopped more compared to that person who is ailing there in the village.
Yeah.
The grandmother you're talking about,
Yeah.
the person who is not able to afford for the bed. You come to find out, for instance, my friend Roy is working in an organization. He's getting maybe a salary between 100,000 and zero. You come to find out he's being milked more compared to the other person who is working maybe as a primary school teacher there in the village. The reason why we are comparing the NHIF to SHA is because on the basis of the NHIF, there's a percentage which is according to the ratio that you earn, that you put on the saving of a benefit.
Yeah.
You get my point?
Yeah.
And now in this SHA, you come to find the more you earn, the more you're being chopped for the fund. But how many people in your household are going to use the exact money?
Okay, Lugale, get your point. But now the point is this way. You know, we have a conflict of interest in such kind of a manner. When you look at those people having, let's say, the annual salary ranging within more than 400,000 and above, they're able to get the private hospitals. You see, now the difference is that when we come in terms of taxing them, they feel like they are being taxed more. But now, this policy is going to be providing some kind of equity, in that that person who is being taxed less can be able also to cater for the medical facilities. But now the problem is that within the country now, those guys who are coming up from the first class within the country are now complaining so that they can blindfold the other nation across the country.
You see, the point is, these people are not defecting for shift because they're being overtaxed. The point is, the private insurance is more of an advantage to them compared to the national cover.
Yeah, then why?
And this is the reason. The reason is why is because you see, when I go to when I join the private insurance, it's more of a saving compared to when this money is being saved to the national insurance. I cannot account for my money at the end of a financial year, because you see, as much as there's someone from the village who's also being helped for this, but remember, it's not my responsibility to help someone in the village. It is this responsibility of the state.
Yeah, true.
You get my point?
Yeah, the health is the responsibility of the state. Each individual to enjoy that right.
Exactly. And the reason why you see these civil servants are preferring for the private insurance is because the terms and condition constituted in private cover is more beneficial to them and to the extended of the family, whether we go to the next financial year and the next financial year, whereby this the one we are saving for the government. At the end of the financial year, everything is being scrapped up. So the next financial year, we begin a fresh saving. And if at all, maybe the year covers and none of my household has been affected through the bedridden or any hospital or whatever, where is my money being taken to? The national government cannot get it back. The government cannot account it back for me. Because have you heard that you work for this organization? You're being deducted this money for the national cover. Then the end of the financial year, because you did not use, now we are going to return this money back to you. Have you heard that scenario? It's not happening anywhere. And you see, the more I was deducted, is the more like I was being taxed in another format.
It's okay. Now saving time.
People are finding it being like a tax more than a cover. That's why we are shifting from the national cover to the private cover.
Yeah, it's okay then. So let's give Shah and Chi time so that coming a year to time we'll come and discuss on the same about it. Now look at the country. Okay, good. Now look at the country. We're having a problem. The economic crisis within the country. We are really suffering. From the common mwananchi, you get that even the state officers are complaining. But now we have a problem. Look at the salary within our leaders. Kenya is really struggling. We have a lot of debts. we need stability in terms of the finance, in terms of our economy. But as you look at the system, look at how the president is being paid, the salary, look at the state officers. They're having a heap of portion being paid to them. And when you look at the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, they formulate policies, they implement, and they interpret the laws. So we as the common mwananchi, how are we going to rectify such kind of a problem in a way that if our leaders are getting more money, putting more money into their pockets, and that they them themselves that are making such kind of policies in the parliament, in the senate, we as common mwananchi, we are crying that okay, we're being overtaxed, as you say, as you cry, we are being overtaxed, we are citizens. But now our leaders are getting heaps of money into their pockets. How are we going to curb this?
Let me handle your question, Mr. Kayamba.
Yeah.
From the look of things, the other day I was in this show and we spoke about the effect of the wage bill in the country.
Yeah.
And we can say actually part of the major economic crisis you are facing today is because of the robust wage bill we have in today. As you can see, Kenya as a nation, the way we are today is compared to one of the states in the United States. We are a very small country to experience large weight bill of the nation. And you see, the people in place or the people in power today does not have the mechanism to put forth the technocrats to advise our leaders, maybe the legislature or maybe the presidency, in terms of the economic balance. And you come to see today, the head of state himself, we're being told that he earns around 5 million. That's what is being said. But in reality, you come to find something different. In reality, these people, they're doing contrary to the constitution. That the owners of means of production, and then the owners of the labor again. See, now this uncontrollable economic thing has made it crash the economy to the people of the lower classes. You come to find out the government, like I was reading somewhere before I came to this show, like why is it only the people who works in government are the one who are able to afford big cars, to afford good housing, and also to afford the medical insurance. But you come to find out today, even the high school teacher is struggling even to get all this. But he's considered himself also as a civil servant, you see. But what we have that is killing us today, the motivator factor is pinching us to the corner. The president wants those people of interest that will help is to be in power. See,
Yeah.
and we come to find when it brought Mtuetu now, they have gone ahead to create position that is not there. And people is being paid large money compared to those people who are not in power.
All right, Lugalia, now look at the country. We as common mwananchi, should we carry a referendum? And if that's the case, so that we can come up with some kind of proposing of some policies and opposing on some policies. Look at our government. Do you agree with the coalition government and the broad-based government? Because when we talk of them working as a government, we don't have that a person to oversee the government on their actions. Do you agree on the coalition government and the broad-based government?
It's called government of national unity.
Yeah.
And you see, from where I sit, I'm really condemning the government of national unity because this is the government of democrats. Let me say it the way my friend Miguna said it. It's the government of few democrats. It's not the government of national unity. It's the government of the leaders, not the government of the people. It's the government of the few individuals who are of the benefit and interest. Because what are we talking about today? All tenders are being swindled to the people they know. Like you today, Kayamba, if you leave this show today and you go out there to ask for any tender that you can see, maybe it has been advertised. Trust me not. You will call me or you come to my office to tell me, Mr. Gale, I did not get that tender because of interest. Why? Because you come to find out, maybe Lau knows this MP or this governor or this senator. And that's why that tender has been switched to her interest. And you see this interest thing and this motivated thing is one which is killing us. So I cannot support the government of national at all costs because you see what happened. We're now lacking the oversight in the whole system of government.
Yeah.
We cannot distinguish between the executive, the legislature, and the presidency. People said the other day, we have come to notice like we currently got the four arms of the government, whereby the fourth arm of the government is the Raila. It's called just the Raila. You get the point?
Yeah.
Now we have the presidency, we have the executive, we have the legislature, and we have the Raila. Whereby this Raila is unconstitutional, but is the more beneficial even compared to the legislature. You get my point? So the government of national unity has really crippled the country economy-wise, whereby now there's no oversight in any corner of this state. Now it has led all of us as a country to follow on what is called the state culture.
But sorry to cut you short. I do think compare the Gen Z protest of Kenya and Bangladesh. The president used to call for a leader of Gen Zs to come out and explain the issues we had confidently. Without the reason why Kenyan Gen Z protest was claimed as a failed movement, it is because lack of there's no way you can call yourself leaderless, despite having very tactical issues the government could handle. Look at what we as Gen Zs were crying for. We are crying for accountability, predictability, and transparency in the government. But now look at what Bangladesh Gen Zs did. They came out they were affiliated under one organization, and then they were able to come out in large. It was that able that overshadowed the state to ruthlessly kill them as per compared to our own Kenyan Gen Zs. You see, we cannot say we have failed to oversee the government. Nowadays, there's this thing that we call hakuna cha mtu wetu. We as youths, ni sisi kwa sisi. You have heard such of a motion, ni sisi kwa sisi.
Yeah.
And actually, people are waiting for IBC to be constituted. We have recently had the certain MP in Madeira who is being now recalled by his own residents. You see, that is what Monanchi is basically telling the political elite. We were the one who gave you that power. So, tutapatana 2027. And from my political seat, I see that 2027, if not soon, next year, 2027, things will change for a better Kenya.
Okay, just wait a minute to save on time. We are crying about the Kenyan economy. Look at the insiders within the government spokesman. Look at our state. Do we have a problem with those guys advising the president? Because they are coming up with different economic analysts, and we'll get one like David Ndiz, a Kenyan economist, who is claiming that there is a downfall in the Kenyan's economy. Do we don't have that inclusivity in the government, in that some common individuals within the country can be able to chip in the government so they can assist us in terms of advice and in terms of running our nation? Because we have bright minds outside the government ever complaining that the government is not doing this, not doing that. So can the government try to give them some room?
Coming to the economist, Oxford graduate issue, you can see whatever he's arguing is against his cons of government politics.
Yeah.
I think, and you see, politics is all about scratch my back, scratch yours. What did you offer to the campaign? None. So there's no way I, as a leader, speaking from the elect position, I can be able to embrace a person who is against my policy. And of course, you see from the Biden's administration, Anthony Blinken was his friend, Meg Whitman was his close friend, both in terms of strategies and also in terms of funds facilitating for the campaigns. Coming for the economist strategy, I think matters concerning economy and the country, the people behind the president are the ones to be blamed. But now the president has the power to tell them, no, I will not do this for the people of Kenya. Look at what President Uhuru former President Uhuru Kenyatta did when MPs lobbed their ideology to the advisors to increase the salaries immediately after the 2017 election. President told them, "There's no way I can vote yes for that bill because yes, you are increasing the salaries, but for the Mwananchi, there's no way the salary is going. There's no way your area will bring table to the food of that Kibera man."
So where's the problem? Straight to the point. Where is the problem within the country?
The problem comes in. It is somehow you see the president is falling because of his advisors.
It's okay then. You claim that the president has an issue. So we hope that he will rectify on that and do something. So besides the Kenyan politics, I think we need to move on now to the foreign issues because of time. Okay, now when you look at now what is now trending, Trump is in office. He'll be inaugurated and stepping in office around in January, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so as we get to see Trump's return, does it signal some imminent changes in the USA policies so that they'll be able to affect the East African countries? Do you have any changes? Look at that time when he was in office. How were we affected? He has now come back. There are some East African countries that were working with Biden. Will this distract him from his policies that he was initially very close to the East African countries? Or we are going to have some new policies that will really affect him?
To begin with, I'm very happy for the reign of Donald Trump. That is a guy who will make America great again after the great American president. For that question is,
Yeah.
they might. I'm approved for the first time immigrant policies. Trump is really angered by the. You see, when he talks about immigrant policies, East African countries found themselves on the edge to be edged out of United States of America. If you go to diaspora, illegal immigrants reside there. If you go to an area like Minnesota, I'm telling you, I'm telling you this for sure. If Trump assumes power tomorrow, of which he's going to assume power by law, you'll see a mass deportation of East Africans back to our country, like the case happened during the COVID-19.
Reason behind that?
Because
Think that way. Yeah.
Because there's no way I, as a Kenyan, I'm going to benefit the benefits of American taxes based on the free education, free social health care, and then free infrastructure provision. You see, I as an immigrant, I'm enjoying the benefits of American taxes. I'm not being taxed, but I'm enjoying the benefits, and that is why you have seen the health policies in America have never been successful for the last 200 years since independence. Why? It's because many people flock there, and then the government comes at a headache to balance the healthcare cover for the citizens, because every person has a right for healthcare. But you come to see when many people are flocked in your country, there's that technical.
Okay, Ryan. There is something known as diplomatic leverage, and there must be something sort of softness. Look, you're saying that many immigrants are going to be deported back to their countries. How is that going to affect their relationship with the USA? Because one, the United States of America has invested within the East African countries. There's some business, we're having some exports and imports. So if there is that exclusivity in that they are going to return them back to their home countries, that is going to affect their rapport. So do you think it's going to work that way?
It is going to work because it is us who need the United States of America, to be sure. We need USA for ARVs, for our...
Okay, the aid.
Yeah, surely. They aid us a lot of money. It is USA that approves our loans to cater for BUP deficits at the end of fiscal year. So, but you see, coming to that, why did Kenya USA bilateral relationship do not tolerate to relate during the COVID-19 deportation, simply because it is their law, it is in international charter. There's no way you can come to my country illegally and then you expect me to hold you like my own child. Sincerely speaking.
All right, you wished Trump success as he steps into office. Now look at Trump. We've had some conflicts outside the states, outside the United States of America. We have Ukraine, we have Palestine, and we have other nations that are fighting. We have wars. How is Trump getting into office going to assist in curbing those wars?
Okay.
Do you think there is something?
Sorry to cut you short.
Yeah.
Before you go to that, let me say
Okay.
something in regards to how Trump being in office might affect, or rather might have a significant effect on East Africa.
Okay, just a minute. Yeah,
Okay.
a minute on it. I'm giving you a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll say is first let's consider the Haiti mission that Kenya is leading in Haiti. Fine, yes, the president told us the other day that he talked to Trump and he said it's okay, but I mean, that's pure politics. So it's only a matter of time. Time will tell. Once he's inaugurated, we will know if he's really going to continue funding the Haiti mission or he's completely not going to fund it. The other thing I would say is LGBTQ and human rights issues that the US funds. I hear LGBTQ organizations in East Africa being funded by the US. And as we know, Trump is against LGBTQ or that community. So I don't know if he'll continue funding those organizations. So it's a matter of time. Time will tell if his policies is going to affect East Africa at large.
Okay, thank
In
you.
addition to that,
Okay.
maybe you can say also, in a diplomatic or envoy issues, Trump's election is going to rapidly affect East African country. This is being speculated by, you see, several MOUs being signed between East African countries and US government. You can see of recent past, the outgoing president of America, Joseph Joe Biden, has been trying to really have a lot of interaction with East African countries. We've seen some of the security personnel here and there. Like the other week, we saw the CIA directors and the FBI's together with the British M16 in the country. They were here keenly following up about the mass abduction taking place in Kenya, which has been there in the recent past since the demonstration of the Gen Z during the finance bill. See, if you watch kindly in one of the international media, His Excellency Ruto was called for an interview, and one of the questions he was asked by one of the journalists was, "Can you explain to us about the mass killing and abduction that is taking place to Kenya?" But if you watch it clearly, the way he approached that question, it was not as expected to the reality or to the expectation of the people who watched that interview. You get the point?
Yeah.
But now you see, some of these questions you're being asked in the international media, it's part of the interrogation. You get the point? But if they're not satisfied with the answers that we give from our local media, now you see they send some international agency for security like the CIA and the FBI to be established here. You see, if those CIA and those FBI came here just for the interest.
Yeah.
You see, now these are the things that like Donald Trump is not going to tolerate because he's going to query now why.
Okay, fine. Thank you for your contribution.
Yes.
Now back to my question again. How is Trump going to handle these wars outside USA? That's Ukraine, Palestine wars.
I can say, you see, most of the wars taking place in Israel, some taking place in Ukraine. You can see the focal point. Majority of countries like they're targeting US indirectly. You get the point?
Yeah.
They are trying to see the reaction of US, and you see, it became so vigorous because you see last week how Israel was smashed by their opponent. They were doing it vigorously because they knew they would take advantage of this electioneering period to do their mission. You see, but you see now all these things has an anchor point from the US. the reaction of the US. Now, the election of Donald Trump as the president of US has an impact to this war, whereby uh, some country will come now to align themselves according to their strength of the international law, so that maybe they keep off the superpower. And
Okay. USA is a very superpower state. Do you think it has a hand in giving the aids and the grants to such kind of countries? Or
Absolutely.
Ukraine and Russia,
Yes.
they give a hand.
Yes.
So do you think now Trump getting in will try to reduce the financial aids so that now they can be at that to their knee
We
and
believe-
listen to USA?
We believe him as a realist and he's a real man.
Yeah.
So he's not going to tolerate this kind of business that is taking place.
But there's fantasy and there's reality.
And
So
also-
if in reality it depends with their foreign policies, and scratch my back, I scratch your back.
But Trump always was once asked, Putin is a terrorist. He's killing many innocent people in Ukraine. Do you know what he answered? He told the media that you are pointing one finger to others, but there are other four pointing back to
Yourself.
you. You see, he said he was against USA invasion in Afghanistan after 2 or 3 missions to go and curb that WMDs, which weapons of mass destruction from Saddam Hussein. But you see, that was a specific interest of the state to go and to abolish that WMDs, but instead they had another interest, which many people speculate is the oil.
The oil,
you know?
yeah.
Then you see, Trump was also against, you say, invasion in Iraq and in Iran. He always condemned the US for invading those countries. And also, don't forget, he also accounts US for the failure of Libya together with Putin. Coming to your question, what will Trump do?
Yeah.
Immediately Trump was announced the president once again. The Russian state spokesperson said Russia is now ready for peace talks with Zelensky administration. That already is a green flag for a peace settlement in
Good. Pushing talks, yeah.
and then to end with this, Trump once stated a statement that is a danger to the NATO countries. He said it's either you start paying taxes to us, or we consider you as non-NATO.
Yeah.
Yes, that is coming to the reality of it. If that happens, then that means Ukraine will not be able to join NATO, based on the fact that Biden is violating that Atlantic Treaty, that if Warsaw Pact is abolished, the former Soviet army, if Warsaw Pact is abolished, then NATO will never and should never come to my nose.
Okay. So let's expect more from Trump as he gets in office. Okay, now back to USA. Do you think United States of America has got some influence on the East African politics, on the African politics in terms of elections? Because you get that these leaders being elected within the African countries being attached so close to the United States of America. Do you think that's my question? Look at the relationship between United States of America with the East African countries and the African countries. As they step in to fund the election, the observers and all those kind of stuff. Do you
Can I
think
answer
USA has that state of coming up with leaders within different countries within Africa?
Sorry, I was cutting you short.
Okay.
So, to answer your question, I believe the United States of America have a huge role in terms of African elections.
Yeah.
And I would give a key study. I would give a key example in South Africa. Everyone knew Malema it was Malema, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knew Malema was going to win, but how he didn't win, like, no one knows,
No one knows.
And of course, once Malema had won, he was so against the West. So there is no way they would have had an easy route in South Africa. So I think they had to ensure that someone who's their puppet, kind of. And let's come to AU. The current AU chair has been accused of being the West puppet. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Yeah, it's Musa Faki.
Safaki.
Yeah. So he's been accused of being a puppet of the US, of the US and the West in general. So if you to answer your question, I don't think our elections as Africa is always free and fair. There's always some interference from the West because they have their own interests, so they have to ensure someone who sings their song is in power in Africa.
But is it right? So should we continue collaborating with them, or we should be independent?
I don't think we
Because
do.
there are some factors when you look at the security partnership, when you look at the diplomatic pressures, the observers missions that are being funded by the USA. If we become independent, we can't stand by ourselves. Do you think we need to continue collaborating with the other foreign countries?
I don't think we, even as Africa, have that power to be on our own, especially when it comes to finances, because we heavily depend on the Western in terms of funding and all that. So there's no way we will say like we want African solutions to African problems and be successful with it. Remember, once something like that was to be accomplished by the late Gaddafi, but you see, we all know what happened to him. So I really don't think we're doing it on our own will. We are being strong armed to do it by the West.
All right, African countries, we have a problem and we need to do something. Okay, now I want to move on to the final question. How is America going to benefit from the non-NATO alliance? Do you understand the non-NATO alliance?
Yeah.
Yeah, how is America going to benefit from that? Yeah.
So coming to your question, how will America benefit from the NATO alliance?
Yeah.
Americans have this form of behavior. For you to become on a NATO alliance, first of all, you have to have some let me say, something that will benefit them as well. Have you heard of Somaliland? Somaliland
Yeah.
was heavily, many funds were heavily financed in Somalia back in 2008, but right now it collapsed because Somalia is very poor in terms of minerals, you see. And then you see, whatever US you benefit from NATO, it comes from what are you giving us in terms of minerals. So to facilitate our industries back at our mother countries. And also, how have you heard of this notion that those heavily US investments in countries, multinational corporations, some are even waived for taxes. That is the benefit of in one or the other. The hegemony is benefiting from us as the NATO alliance.
Okay, anyone else to give an idea about it?
Personally, I really don't think. Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry.
I've asked about how is America going to benefit, or how is it benefiting from the non-NATO alliance? And you get that such kind of countries that are being involved is such as Korea, South Korea, Japan. Yeah.
Japan is an NATO alliance.
Yeah, Japan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, of course, at the end of the day, any alliance that the US has with any country, definitely they always have to have an interest in that particular country. So it's more of how US benefits than how the country benefits. So, in my opinion, I don't even think the question is kind of valid per se, because at the end of it's valid, but I don't think that is the question we should be asking.
Yeah.
We should be asking how are these other countries, these non-NATO countries, going to benefit from the US? Because at the end of the day, the US is always benefiting in any handshake of US.
Okay, now that you're bringing that question, okay, now give us an idea about now the countries within the non-NATO.
How they're going to benefit from the US.
Yeah.
US always strong arms people. So if a country is going to benefit from US, probably I would say it's through funds. But you see, US gives you these funds and expects something in return, which sometimes costs you your waters, your seas. Sometimes it costs you a lot of things in your country. So I really don't think these non-NATO alliance countries will ever benefit from the US, because US will always go for countries that they won't benefit from.
In addition to that, you once said that Africa cannot learn its own. Coming to this, I will say if wealth of country is measured in terms of minerals, then Democratic Republic of Congo will be the most richest country the world has ever seen. But what will the West do? Divide and rule tactic.
Yeah.
So you see, there's no way I can see. Actually, when it comes to the materials to to manufacture the phones.
Mhm,
It comes only in one country.
Lithium.
When it comes in matters of watches, batteries, that one country only. Come to rubber, one country, the largest producer. What am I trying to say? Africa, if there's a way that another Gaddafi can come, then Africa will have a long way. They will shake the world. That is for sure. And that is why you see someone after being elected, he has now been singing this song, oh please, IMFs, don't tax who have nots more money than the haves.
Yeah.
You have seen that person somewhere.
Yeah.
Crying, it was in France.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one way. And then it's coming this notion of USA, United States of Africa. The point of which it will come to true, only God knows. But if Africa comes to in one like Europe, then how did America came to power? It is America through that unification of 50 countries. That is what I'll say of my case.
All right, as we summarize up now, let's look at Meg Whiteman. Okay, why do you think she has decided to resign?
I think political pressure.
Political pressure. Okay, that's one political pressure. Another thing, because we get that it's only affecting. It's only happening after the USA elections. So was it?
And I think again we see we know Trump was a realist, and you can see the current the previous election is a fond of new administration in office, and you see when the president comes in, he comes with these people, see, and you see these people serving in the envoys serving in different, they're being deployed by the president in power. So I think the resignation of Meg from office is due to pressure he faced inside from Kenya as a country, and also from the new power that is Prosim office in America, which is the Trump's.
So we've had Kenyans crying. They also demanded for her resignation. So do you think the incoming ambassador will do some changes?
You see, like the reason why you see Kenyans are really crying for his resignation, they even requested for his resignation before he did this, because there's a lot of speculation that we need you to pack and go. You see, and the time this thing was happening, actually, come to find out, like people are very much in pain because Mengs was one of the person who was an election observer. He just 2022 concluded the election, but you see, in all the irregularities that happened, remember the Olekina, remember all the people who were in these things. In front of this thing, we were under the watch of Meg as the observer, one of the observers from the ambassador's office. And you see, all things that is facing the country, like the Gen Z protests, like the economic or whatever crisis we're going through, like the mass killing and the abduction, you see, it's under her watch. But still, if we say that really we need changes, maybe the external assistance, if she was really the savior of this country or an ambassador who is taking good information to the international system, she could be the one to help us, maybe to get this CIA before all this thing came to that conclusion. Because you see, how can some investigation like we ourselves are going to find the bodies at the quarry, and we have the USA and in the country. See, those are the things that we are telling this Meg. I'm also supporting his resignation. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. It has been a lovely show. Thank you for tuning in and watching us. This is Bluntly Candid podcast. We wish to talk to you next time. Thank you for watching. Next time, guys. Have a lovely show. Have a lovely time. Thank you very much.